73 days to finish the developmental flight test cycle, the Pentagon originally scheduled at 180 days under standard procurement timelines. Pentagon programs are synonymous with delays and budget overruns. Yet the B-21 finished 6 months of developmental flight testing in just 2 months. Most viewers assume any stealth bomber means a B-2-style cost disaster. Yet the B-21 targets just 1/3 of that aircraft's unit price. This documentary breaks down how the B-21 Raider beat the Pentagon procurement curse and arrived ahead of schedule and under budget. The Long-Range Strike Bomber program officially launched in 2011, and Northrop Grumman secured the development contract in October 2015. The first B-21 test aircraft was unveiled at the Northrop Grumman Palmdale facility in December 2022 and entered ground testing immediately. The first flight took place November 10, 2023 at Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California, with telemetry teams in place. Multiple B-21 test aircraft are now flying simultaneously across a Pentagon program category defined by being late and over budget. Northrop Grumman announced on May 7, 2026 that testing finished in 73 days against the planned 180 days. Half the developmental flight missions delivered full test coverage, and somebody at the Pentagon may want to triple-check those final numbers. The combined test force at Edwards Air Force Base integrates Northrop Grumman engineers and Air Force personnel inside one operational structure. On April 14, 2026, the B-21 completed first aerial refueling trials with a KC-135 at Edwards Air Force Base. The B-21 stands as the first sixth-generation combat aircraft to reach active flight test status anywhere in modern global aerospace history. The Pentagon program of record stands at 100 aircraft, with force structure discussions referencing 145 or higher. The first operational delivery is scheduled for Ellsworth Air Force Base in South Dakota in 2027 under current Pentagon timelines. The B-21 uses a flying wing and lambda wing design, significantly smaller and lighter than the B-2 Spirit predecessor airframe. The B-21 range reportedly exceeds the B-2 despite its smaller airframe, according to Northrop Grumman CEO Kathy Warden in official statements. Subsonic flight is optimized for stealth across the airframe, with no vertical surfaces and clean, curved leading edges across the entire planform. Sixth-generation stealth combines shape, materials, and software discipline, operating as one fully integrated approach across the entire airframe. The modular open systems architecture allows easy upgrades and even potential component export to foreign buyers approved through the Pentagon. Pratt & Whitney engines share commonality with the F-35 to reduce cost, a phrase rarely heard in F-35 procurement coverage. The B-21 stands as the most fuel-efficient bomber ever built and reduces tanker demand below every prior strategic platform. Internal weapons bays carry the AGM-181 cruise missile, B-61 nuclear bombs, and JASSMER conventional weapons. The B-21 was designed primarily for Indo Pacific command operations against the integrated Chinese air defense network. The B-21 replaces the B-1 Lancer and B-2 Spirit fleets by 2040, with the B-52 Stratofortress likely following afterward. Digital model-based engineering ran across the entire program, from earliest concept through production tooling and flight test telemetry. Test pilot Chris Moss confirmed the airframe flies exactly like the simulator across handling qualities and signature performance categories. Augmented reality and robotics on the Palmdale factory floor allow technicians to visualize assembly tasks before touching the airframe. Test aircraft were built using full production tooling because nobody at Northrop wanted another prototype to production translation accident. Engineering changes discovered during flight test apply directly to operational aircraft already moving through the final assembly line downstream. To understand how a defense program finished early and under budget, subscribe before the next section breaks down the actual numbers. The original B-2 Spirit cost $2.1 billion per aircraft and remains the most expensive military aircraft ever built by Northrop Grumman. The B-21 target unit cost was originally set at $550 million in 2010 dollars per Pentagon procurement records. Adjusted for inflation, that target price translates to roughly $750 million per aircraft in current 2026 dollars. Roughly one-third the B-2 price for a much more capable aircraft. A comparison Northrop did not need marketing to explain. The B-21 has entered low-rate initial production across 5 lots, totaling 21 aircraft authorized through the current Pentagon contract. Publicly stated annual output is around 7 aircraft per year, although the exact current production rate remains classified information. Congress appropriated $4.5 billion in July 2025 to expand B-21 production capacity beyond the original baseline. Northrop Grumman has invested more than $5 billion in digital engineering and manufacturing infrastructure across the full B-21 program. More than 400 suppliers across 40 American states support the program with components, subsystems, and specialized manufacturing services. Major program partners include Pratt & Whitney, BAE Systems, Collins Aerospace, Spirit AeroSystems, and GKN Aerospace. Final assembly continues at Northrop Grumman Plant 42 in Palmdale, with multiple aircraft on the line simultaneously. Software certification timelines were already reduced by 50%, even before the actual B-21 prototype ever entered flight test operations. 3 decades of accumulated American stealth experience fed every B-21 production decision, from initial material selection through final integration testing. The combined test force structure eliminates the standard contractor-to-government handoff that historically delays older defense acquisition programs. The B-21 was designed against a specific threat environment of Chinese anti-access and area denial systems across the entire Pacific theater. Indo Pacific Command requires platforms that survive layered air defense across thousands of kilometers of contested ocean and airspace. Distance from Guam to mainland China runs about 3,000 kilometers, inside the operational envelope of layered Chinese defenses. The AGM-181 LRSO is a stealthy nuclear cruise missile designed to launch from inside B-21 weapons bays at standoff range. Standoff weapons keep the bomber outside the worst integrated threat zones that the enemy invested decades building across the Pacific theater. The future Air Force bomber fleet consists of 2 platforms, the B-21 paired with modernized B-52J Stratofortress aircraft through 2040. The B-1 retires this decade. The B-2 follows by 2040. The B-21 stands alone as the only intercontinental stealth bomber. The Mitchell Institute February 2026 study argued that even 100 B-21 aircraft may be insufficient for a sustained Taiwan scenario. That study recommended 200 B-21 aircraft against the projected pace of Chinese strategic air power expansion through the 2030s. The Pentagon program of record currently stands at 100 aircraft, with separate force structure debates referencing higher numbers. The B-21 name honors the Doolittle Raiders, who struck Tokyo from USS Hornet in 1942 across the same Pacific theater. The B-21 aircraft reaches Indo Pacific targets without any forward basing, which fundamentally changes the Chinese air defense planning equation. Pacific war games already factor B-21 capability into every strike scenario through the 2030s and the 2040s operational planning window. The Chinese H-20 stealth bomber program, publicly revealed in 2016, is still waiting on its first confirmed flight test. Range plus stealth plus standoff weapons equals true strategic deterrence at industrial scale across the entire Pacific theater. The B-21 stands as the first 6th-generation aircraft to enter active flight test status anywhere in global aerospace history. The NGAD fighter program awarded its contract later and remains in development behind the bomber timeline by several years. The strategic bomber arrived before the fighter, an unusual order in modern aerospace acquisition history across the Western powers. The F-22 Raptor entered Air Force service in December 2005 and remains the most recent American clean-sheet combat aircraft. The B-21 closes the historic 2-decade gap from far above the dogfight altitude rather than from the traditional air-to-air combat arena. The modular open systems architecture supports continuous upgrades, plugging into the same airframe across the entire 40-year service life. That core design decision matters more than any single hardware feature on the platform during the next 4 decades of operational service. Stealth materials age, and networked systems update faster every year, so the B-21 architecture was built to refresh both continuously. The B-2 needed climate-controlled hangars for its stealth coating, while the B-21 needed digital twins and model-based engineering. 3 decades of accumulated B-2 sustainment data fed every B-21 production decision, from coding chemistry through ground crew procedures. That is how a single program built between 2015 and 2026 absorbed 40 years of accumulated American stealth aviation lessons. First operational delivery is scheduled for Ellsworth Air Force Base in 2027 and remains on track per current Pentagon reporting. A Pentagon program on schedule and under budget. the rarest aircraft category in modern American defense reporting and procurement coverage. The B-21 is not only a new bomber, but a new procurement template for future American defense aviation programs entirely. The next aircraft on this channel never had to break a curse, because it was never supposed to exist in any official Pentagon plan.